Alright guys, welcome back to the West Georgia Sportsman. Got a great video for you guys today. As you can see, we have changed up a bit of our scenery. Instead of the basement, we're doing stuff outside now, but let me know if y'all like that. I kind of like it. I like being outdoors, but anyhow, hopefully the wind won't pick up too bad today. But today we are talking about bass fishing on a budget, and that's a very great subject, I think, that everyone needs to know about, because a lot of times bass fishing gets expensive. But before we get into that, got two things real quick. Happy birthday to my friend Micah Smallwood. He's turning 11. Happy birthday, buddy. I hope you have a great birthday. Can't wait to go fishing with you soon. Second of all, got two new ball caps I really want to show y'all from Pineside. Pineside Outdoors, I think is what they call them. But anyhow, this one is got a shoal bass on the front. That's the whole reason I ordered from them. They sent this one with it. Very nice of them. But very nice ball cap. Has a shoal bass on there. Really like that. Y'all go check them out online at Pineside. And anyhow, now we're going to go ahead and get into the video. Y'all go ahead and click that subscribe button if you haven't already. As soon as we get to 100 subscribers, we will be having a giveaway. So really looking forward to that. But without any further ado, bass fishing can be expensive. And I mean really expensive, especially if you really get into it. I've been bass fishing for about 13 or 14 years now. And I have seen it's expensive, very expensive. So we're going to start talking about how to bass fish without it being crazy expensive. And the first thing we're going to talk about is choosing your brand wisely. In fact, that's probably going to be the main bulk of the video, is choosing your brand wisely, but we'll have some other stuff too. So I got 4 brands here of soft plastics, and then I'll mention a few brands of hard plastics. I don't have any examples with me because all of my hard plastics I take out of the box and then don't exactly remember the exact size or, make or whatever. But first off, we got Big Bite Baits. Big Bite Baits has been around for a while, and theirs is a really high quality bait. I love their, they call it the Trick Stick Special. I call it a Cinco, but it really has some great action falling through the water. I really like theirs. Theirs is probably, you're probably looking about $5 for about 10 worms. That ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. So, especially when you compare it to like a Gary Yamamoto, which is a great worm, but more expensive. Big Bite Baits, they have a lot of different stuff. Check out, make sure you check out when you go to your local tackle shop, and that's the main thing you're going to want to do, is just look at all the brands that your local tackle shop has and just start comparing them. Of course, there's a difference between cheap and junk. Don't buy junk, just buy cheap stuff. Don't buy stuff that's made cheap, but stuff that costs cheap. Can be a little difficult to discern between that. What you're going to want to do is just through trial and error find out, okay, this crankbait costs $5, so does this one. The first one has a much tighter wobble. I like the first one better. I'll buy this one. But anyhow, so trial and error. The second brand I have here for your soft plastics is Yum. Yum has a good deal cheaper as far as their baits. Sorry, sun's getting in my eyes. Sun's finally coming out. I thought it was going to be cloudy today, but Yum is fairly cheap. However, they have a lot of scent, which is really good. That's something you're going to want in your baits. Their scent is something they make sure they put in their baits real good. So that's a good brand. The other one is H2OX. We're going to talk more about this one later, because they don't just make soft plastics, but I love their soft plastics. I even use this for saltwater fishing a good deal. Theirs is really cheap. You get 12 of them, and I do believe this is only about $3 or $4. That is a really good deal. I didn't know if I mentioned this. That's Academy's brand. H2OX, that's Academy's brand, so you'll find that in an Academy store. They make, a lot of times them store brands will be cheaper. Bass Pro, Academy. So keep an eye out for those. And then our last one, and probably in my opinion, the best soft plastic manufacturer in the business, maybe. You might have some competitors, but probably one of the best is Zoom. Zoom Bait Company. And the reason that theirs is so great is I dare you to go into a tackle shop and find the Zoom, where they got the Zoom baits, and try to find something they don't have as far as soft plastics. They got lizards, they got crawfish style baits, they got pitch style baits, they got curly tail worms, they got Cincos, they got trick worms, they got flukes, finesse worms, they got everything. And theirs is a lot cheaper than a lot of your more name brands, or Well, I'll put it this way. Compare a pack of Zoom worms or Zoom pitch style baits or crawfish style baits to a Strike King Rage Bug. And I love Strike King, love their Rage Bug, but compare them. It's the same price for either pack. Strike King only has 5 in theirs, or maybe it might be 6, I'm not sure. But Zoom has 9, 10, good deal more. So that's what you're looking at. That's what you're comparing. Zoom, they are a cheaper brand, but I use a lot of their stuff. Like when I want to throw a trick worm, I'm throwing a Zoom, not throwing anything else. When I want to throw a fluke, I'm 9 times out of 10 throwing a Zoom. Same with their lizards. I just love their stuff. So Zoom really is one of the best options I think you can have for staying a bit on a budget. Now back to H2OX. They also make a good deal of hard baits and top water. Theirs are a good deal cheaper. So go make sure when you're at Academy, check out H2OX's brand. That's going to be a real game changer on saving your money. That's going to help you out a lot. For hard plastic baits, you're going to want to really just kind of look at what you have as far as options in your tackle shop, but take a look at your older baits. Your Bill Lewis, Bill Dance style baits, the old fat-free shad, fat-free fry, the old original rattle trap. All of those are some great ideas on what you want to look for in some cheaper baits, because right now we're seeing a lot of brand new companies who are great companies, great bass fishing companies, but what their thing is, they're not making cheap baits, they're making really high dollar, high quality baits. And that's nice. There's definitely a time and place for that, but not in budget bass fishing. So that's a great option. With your jigs, you got Strike King and Booyah. Jigs, that's kind of a very specific thing, but I want to go ahead and mention those. Strike King and Booyah. Spinner baits, once again, Strike King and Booyah. I think Strike King makes some spinner baits, but in Walmart, you'll see they'll have like 3 packs. You can save some money on that. Buzz baits too, you can go that route. Rebel is another great hard plastic company that's fairly cheap. Their Pop-R is amazing. They got some real great little crawfish crankbaits that move through the water real well. All that sort of thing. So those are some great options for your different brands of baits. Alright guys, sorry I had to go get my sunglasses. It's getting kind of bright outside. But number 2, we're going to start talking about rods and reels. This is kind of still within the whole pick your brand category, but more along the lines of rods and reels. And there's also some other things we need to talk about when it comes to rods and reels. The first of that being, unfortunately, you kind of do not want to skimp too badly on your rods and reels. Rods, you can get a little bit more away with a rod being a little cheaper, but with a reel, just because of the internal parts, you really want that to last, especially with a bait caster. Now, spinning reel, you can get you a $25, $30, $40 spinning reel and be perfectly fine. It's not going to mess up, it's going to be fine. However, the bait caster, the amount of internal moving parts, you're kind of going to want to drop a little bit more money. For instance, I have a Lew's Speed Spool, I believe is the name of it, from Walmart that cost me $65 that has done me perfectly fine. Excellent reel. And then I have a Lew's Laser TX Speed Stick and Speed Spool combo, TXS, something like that. I think that was $120 for the whole combo. That has done me great. So really, with bait, those are bait casters, you kind of want to go for that little bit higher dollar. And that's still pretty low dollar for bait caster combos, but it's still a good deal of money. One thing you can do to cut down on your expenses is go to places like Robinson Salvage, flea markets, garage and yard sales, and look for rods that are good high dollar rods, but have had something like the tip or an eye broke on them in a way that you can repair them, because repairing rod tips is super easy. Different eyes can be a little bit trickier, but a rod tip, very easy to repair. Just get your little kit with the glue and the different size rod tips. You can do that pretty easily. So that's one way to kind of look for a little bit cheaper stuff. Be careful with buying used reels though, just because, especially people who do not clean their reels, it can just turn them into mush. so quickly. So watch out for that. Always make sure you feel it before you buy it when it's used. So there's your deals with your rods and reels. And oh, another big tip: you don't need 6 rods to go bass fishing. I would say if you're really wanting to go budget, get you 2. Get you a what would you get? I guess you would get you a medium light spinning rod and reel, and then a medium bait caster. That can do a lot. You're gonna have a little trouble with your heavier stuff, like, you know, punching, frogging, big jigs. You're gonna have a little bit of trouble setting the hook, but you know, as long as you put a decent amount of power into it, you should be good. With that little spinning rod, what you're going to do with that is you're going to use that for your trick worms, your light Texas rigs, your moving baits with, you know, treble hooks on it. You can use it for top water a good deal, but that'll do most of your work, is that little spinning rod. Your bait caster is going to be more for your, you know, jigs, heavier Texas rigs, anything that you're going to want to set the hook a little harder on, anything like that. So those two, with 2 rods and reels, or 2 combos, you can do pretty well. You don't need to have 6, and I'm being a hypocrite here because I usually carry a good deal of rods with me, but you know, I've accumulated those over a good many years. If you're just starting out, you're probably not going to need that many rods and reels. And then last of all is kind of like where and how you fish. And the reason I'm talking about this is because a boat is a very expensive thing. You're not looking at cheap investment getting a fishing boat. Never, ever. The 2 things that are going to be fairly cheap is a kayak and a John boat. If you're wanting to go super cheap, get you a $300 Academy or Dick's Sporting Goods, even Walmart. Get you one of their kayaks. The fishing brand, you know, with the rod holders. I've got a Lifetime Teton 100. Cost me $350, $20 for the paddle, and I was on the water. That's not bad at all. And it has caused me no trouble. Now know this, you cannot stand up in that thing. Don't try it, you will flip. But it's not bad. Once you get into about the $1,500 range with the kayaks, you kind of want to go ahead, get yourself a John boat. It'll be worth it. I love a kayak. I'm a kayak fisherman all the way, but a John boat's rather nice just to be able to get in, stand up, not have to worry about anything, and just fish. You know, a little 9.9 gas burning motor is not going to be too expensive, and a trolling motor, you can even just do it with just a trolling motor on the front of the John boat and go pretty much everywhere you want to. If you're just starting out, you can bank fish pretty well. Go on the app store and get yourself, I would suggest onX Hunt. It's an app that allows you to see property lines and just start going through your area and saying, hey, that's public. That's public. Look at your local walking trails. Oftentimes walking trails will go by lakes and stuff, and oftentimes you can fish them right from the walking trail, be completely legal. That bank fishing, you can really get that down to where you can catch a lot of fish. It doesn't have to be, you know, oh, I'm going to go bank fishing, I'm not going to catch anything. I'm going to stand in one spot and throw a bobber with a worm like everyone else is doing. No, you don't have to do that. Get out and do some walking and you'll catch some good fish and save you a lot of money. That's really the main things when it comes to budget bass fishing. There's all sorts of things you can do. You know, like bass fishing don't require any specific clothing. I'd suggest a long sleeve thin t-shirt for the sun, but you don't require any specific clothing. Have you a good pair of pliers with you. You don't have to have a scale. Just get good at saying, hey, that's about 3 pounds. Don't always go under what you think it is, because no one likes someone on the internet saying he's got a 10-pound bass and it's only 5. So just, you know, be conscious of that. But there's a lot of things you can save on that a lot of people don't. With your line, I completely forgot about line choice. Fluoro's expensive. Fluorocarbon is pretty expensive, and you don't have to have it. You can get by with monofilament. Monofilament is going to do very similar to fluoro. It's going to be fairly clear in the water. The one thing that mono is going to do that fluoro is going to have more stretch to it. So be wary of that. Get a higher poundage monofilament when you're using it as a leader for something like a Texas rig or a jig where you need that hook set. monofilament will do great for any bait with treble hooks. Now I do suggest you get some braid for you know, just for that extra backbone. I like braid a lot. One thing you can do, here's a real good tip, is if you're putting braid onto a reel, put some old monofilament on the back of the reel. About less than half of it should be mono, but a decent amount with some old cheaper monofilament. That's still good, but you know, cheaper, because a bass is not gonna take more than 30 or 40 foot of line at max. That's at max. So you don't have to worry about it really spooling you. So that's a great idea to save some money. But anyhow, bass fishing doesn't have to be expensive as we make it to be. And this is a real great way for beginners to get into the sport, to get moving, to get into what is really a very fun sport without, you know, spending thousands of dollars. So anyhow, hope y'all liked the video. Please remember to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, all of that stuff. You know, I love seeing the comments and all of that. Go check out my friend, the Georgia Bassmaster, and another guy who I recently talked to, who's a really nice guy. Y'all probably already know who he is, but Tyler's Real Fishing. Please go check his channel out if you haven't already. He's a great Christian guy. Go subscribe to him. I was very impressed with the way he portrays, you know, God in his videos. But anyhow, hope y'all have a good day. Can't wait to see y'all next time, and God bless.